Today was a challenging week. First, I gotta talk about the coronavirus. And I don't spend much time watching TV at all. So the only TV time I get is at the gym for maybe 30 minutes a day, and that's way too much. So if any person from another planet or another world came to visit us, they would think that our world is going to be gone, in a few days. Every TV has got people wearing masks on. It's just the amount of chaos and fear these news agencies are putting out there. It's just ridiculous. And I think I saw somebody's doing a Facebook webinar on how not to get the coronavirus. So a lot of people are just going insane about this, and I've been thinking about it lately because my wife and I are doing this grief cruise coming up in April, and I started calling it the Corona Cruise. It's so not funny. It's so not funny. And so I got an email from the people that are running the cruise from Royal Caribbean. It's going out of Florida. And they're making all these things, the guests are the most important, part of the journey, and we're not going to put anybody in danger. So they get on to list all these things that, any Chinese nationals, anybody from, Japan, aren't going to be allowed on the ship. And then anybody that's been within 6 feet of somebody from, that was visiting the China mainland is not going to be allowed on the ship. And I thought that was it's kind of fucked up. Who's going to admit to that after they bought a ticket on a cruise that they were with somebody that just came back from China or something? So, I think the fear out there, it's crazy. And, just as a parent, that's just more paranoia worrying about not only the crazy shit that happens in schools these days, but now you got to worry about a virus that's killing people. And I was speaking to somebody a little earlier, and they said, oh, yeah, in Italy, that's even more cases. And it's like, oh, fuck's sake. So not sure what's going to happen. We're scheduled to take off on this cruise April 19th to the 26th. And maybe we'll be wearing suits on the boat. I have no idea. Maybe those funny masks. But then there was something on Kimmel the other night saying that, the masks don't fit the right way and aren't secure enough for people with facial hair, and they had the worst one. So now I have to shave my beard and stuff so I can wear the mask on the boat. And do you wear the mask on the beach, or can you take the mask off when you get to the beach? Because I don't want the tan line around my face. And then I guess I could grow my goatee in, unless it was one of those big masks with the the things on the side. Anyway, that's a big reason why I don't watch the news. I stopped watching the news about 4 years ago, just, after I lost my son. I was already depressed, and I just couldn't handle any more depression. And I just, well, how do you know what's going on in the world? It's like, I don't give a shit, They have that what's that thing that they buzz on the, on all the TVs and the radios, that alert that, if something's going to happen, I'm going to hear that. Other than that, oh, well, what about the weather? I'll look outside. I can ask Alexa if I need to. So if anybody's like really, stressed out and tired and, they need a break, just shut off the news for a little while. Shut off Facebook, shut off Instagram, because there's just so much toxic news. I always dreamed about years ago that I wanted to start a news station just with good news. But I guess good news doesn't sell TV commercials. Good news doesn't sell newspapers and all that shit. So I don't think my idea would fly too well. So I passed on that. So since we're talking about, the virus and death, I just wanted to, bring up a couple of things that, happened in a couple of my groups this week. We started talking about, mortality and death in one of my prison groups. And one of the guys in there, sad story. He had his own gaming company, and God, he was on this amazing path in life. His revenue started generating on an online gaming company. He was going to set up this virtual reality place, for gamers, and went to a bar one day and got in his car, got in an accident, and he killed somebody. And that was the end of his life. He said he regrets it every minute of every day. He's in prison for 5 years. And right in the prime of his life. And he said, I'm so sorry for what I did. But, in that moment, he didn't really realize it. And, he took another human being's life. And he'll have to live with that, he told me, for the rest of his life. So we went on to, talking about how life can just change in a moment's notice. And there's so many of us, that get freaked out about getting the friggin' coronavirus. And, well, I don't have a virus today. I'm not in prison today. Today's a good day. So why aren't we just happy with today and being in that moment? Why are we always worrying about, what could happen in the future? I was driving home today, and I just had watched this movie, A Star Is Born. I love Lady Gaga, and Bradley Cooper. He's really cool. My wife loves him. Maybe I have a little envy there. But anyway, so I was just, driving home, and I got the soundtrack on my phone, so I'm listening to the song "Shallow," and I sang it for an hour, coming from Boston back home, and I tell you, I felt so present in that moment, and I didn't give a shit about anything else in life. So if you can capture those moments, and be happy for just what's going on. If you're at a beach, if you're singing a song, if you're having dinner with somebody, make yourself aware in that moment of how precious it is, because life can change like that. Nobody's got any crystal ball, and we have to take notice of these things, because we're all one choice, like that guy that got in that killed somebody with his car. One choice, one diagnosis. Shit, you find a lump. My nose started bleeding the other day, and my nose never bleeded, and I fucking freaked out. It was like, am I dying? But in those moments, you have to realize that, what if this is it? And I thought I had a shitty life an hour ago, and now I have this. So I just wanted to make that point, that we don't know how long we have. And I hear from so many parents, complaining about their kids and ranting about them, and frustrated and stressed out and overwhelmed, and just feeling like their life is being suffocated out of them. And in those moments, you need to find somewhere or somehow to be grateful for what you have. Your kid's a pain in the ass. Maybe your husband, your wife, maybe they're lazy. They're not attentive enough. They don't do X, Y, and Z. But they're in your life. They're alive. They're not sick. They're not dying in that moment. So just make yourself aware of that. I don't care what you got to do. I got tattoos all over my body. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And, I got the word hope tattooed on my on my wrist, because when I lost my son, it was like, that was one thing that I had none. I had no hope. Never hoping. Never thought I was going to ever be happy again. Thought my life was over. And that's what I craved, some hope. So now when I feel, there are days that, I feel a little bit down, because that's the kind of the pain you live with when you lose a child, lose somebody really close to you. You live with that every day. And you do have days where, that grief comes back and kicks you in the ass. And then you gotta find little something in that moment to help bring you back to reality. Okay, and what brings me back to reality is that, I have hope that I'm doing shit out here in this world that my son's going to be proud of. So when you get a kid that's driving you up the fucking wall, be thankful they're driving you up the wall, because they're still with you. Okay? If you don't get anything out of today's podcast, I want you to be more aware and, be thankful, be grateful for the shit you have in this moment. And even if you just was diagnosed with something, God forbid, be thankful that you're still here, that you're still able to create memories with one another, and impact somebody else's life, make connections with other human beings. That's what we're here for. We're not here to piss each other off, to yell and scream at each other, to get all fueled up and raged and say shit that we're going to be sorry for. So, the point of this was that I was talking to this guy, the guy that, killed the other guy in the drunk driving accident. And, I was asking him, I do a lot of future pacing with, coaching these moms and these dads in jail. And future pacing is, I ask him, where are you going to be in 5 years when you get out? What's that look like? So he goes on to tell me that, he doesn't have a lot of time. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Did a doctor give you a diagnosis or something? He goes, no. He goes, I went on this site called Deathclock. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? There's a site out there called Deathclock. He goes, yeah, Richie, you go put in all this stuff and it spits back an age. I says, so what's your age? He goes, 71. I says, fuck. And he's mid-40s. I said, so how is that helpful? I says, doesn't that stress you out even more, knowing that you have limited time left in this world? And he's like, I never thought of it. And I don't know why I went to the site to begin with. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm really kind of depressed, because now I'm seeing like I have like 20 years left in my life. And now, he wanted to go to school he wanted to be a rocket scientist or something. And now he's hesitating about it because this stupid website that gave him this random date that he's going to die. And I said, so what does life look like at 70? Are you never going to leave the house because you're paranoid you're going to get hit by a bus or something? Because I haven't thought of that. So if anybody goes to that death clock site, you're out of your mind. That takes me to the next person was this mom in one of my prison groups, and I spoke to her Tuesday. And out of the blue, she talked about, she went to see a tarot card reader. And the tarot card reader told her that she was going to die at 76 years old. So she's freaking out. She's in prison. She's almost 60 years old. She's been in prison pretty much all her life. She's got 6 kids, and just her whole life is, complete dysfunction. So she's scared about that because she loves her grandchildren. She's part of their life. But she's telling me that she doesn't have a lot of time. And it's like, you're listening to, yeah, well, I saw 3 tarot card readers that told me that, and one psychic. It's like, oh, okay, so maybe they're all in cahoots. I didn't know what to tell her. It's like, I don't know what to tell you, okay? and she was so upset, and she was getting out. She's getting out Tuesday, and she goes, Richie, you've helped me so much over the last 8 weeks, but I got to tell you one thing. She goes, I can't stop what I do, so I'll probably be back. So I'll probably see you in a couple of months or so. And it almost killed me. It almost, it almost, knocked me to the floor that she just, and she was honest. And some of them were honest. Some of them saying, you know what? I'm getting out. I can't afford to go work at Target because I can't afford to feed my family. So I'm going to go back to dealing drugs. And it's like, it's so difficult to get my head around. And, for them saying like, I'm never coming. Some of them say I'm never coming back here. But out of 100 people I see, out of 100 people that go into prison, 85 end up back in prison. And, that's kind of scary. So don't go on deathclock. And honestly, I've been to a lot of mediums and psychics, and not one of them has ever told me, I never asked, when I was going to die, because I think that is sick as fuck, is wanting to know your date. We all have an expiration date, and, I don't want to know, but the important thing is to live every day. Enjoy every day. Enjoy your kids, even if they're driving you, out of your mind. Appreciate them because you have them in your life right in the moment. And like I said earlier, you don't have a disease. Take that moment and appreciate it. Be grateful for them, no matter how crazy they make you. And sometimes a teenager's craziness is trying to bring out more of the authentic us. They're trying to tell us that we're not living our true self. And sometimes, they're trying to give us those gifts, but we got to be able to look at them and say, oh, what are you trying to teach me? Oh, you're trying to teach me patience. So sometimes our kids are our teachers, if that doesn't make any sense. So when I lost my son, it was like I wrote a little poem in the back of the book. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but, in the end it was, he taught me how to live. Because we don't know when it's going to be taken away from us. We have no idea. We all have an expiration date. We don't know whether it's in an hour or whether it's in, 50, 60 years. So that's my rant on that. So I just want to talk about, one thing that I did a post on Facebook the other day about if you're co-parenting, what is one thing you would change about the other parent, other than wishing they weren't the other parent? And I just want to say something to all the moms out there that replied to this post, is that you guys are doing a hell of a job, because I think 80% of them have exes that are really not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And that's sad, because that makes us guys look like look bad. So, some of the posts were just really, amazing. You're 43 years old, quit hiding behind your mommy and man up to take care of your kids. What was another good one? Short one. Lack of involvement in the kids' daily lives, allowing them to do whatever they want, no rules, no boundaries, nothing. So when you have if you're co-parenting, if there's any co-parents out there, if you're co-parenting, you got to understand that we aren't here to change other people, to fix other people's shit. For the most part, we're not here to fix our kids' shit, because they're on their own journey. We can guide them. We're supposed to guide them on on the road of life. But we're not here to fix them. You can't fix other people. You could try to influence them, persuade them, But then you got to ask yourself, how much fucking energy am I wasting on this person that's never going to get it? So I could have replied one blanket reply back to, I think it was like 150 comments. And I did most of them individually because I wanted to try to help, each mom in the group. And it was, how much energy are you wasting, on thinking about how you need to fix your ex, how he won't be a part of the kid's life, how there's no boundaries over there, how he's a narcissist, how he's the Disneyland dad. There was a couple of moms in there, but the ratios were like 80% men and, that were getting complained about, and maybe 20% women. Not even that. And so, how much energy are you wasting talking about your ex and what they don't do? Okay? Yeah, you send your kid over there, whatever the schedule is, your kid gets over there, if the dad is distant, disconnected, doesn't want to do what the kids want to do, doesn't feed them the right stuff, whatever the case is, you cannot control that. And that's the power you have. But as soon as you start complaining it and letting that eat you and change your state from whatever state you are, like if you're happy and your kids come home because you were happy because they were gone, especially teenagers, because you had a little break, they come home and they start complaining about their dad, or their mom, you get all riled up, get all friggin' nuts, and in that moment, you are giving your power to your ex, okay? Because you're allowing his behavior to change your state. I mean, it's coming through the kids. So what can you do different? What can you do to change that? We shouldn't be giving anybody else in this world control over that. Control over us. Our exes, co-parents, partners, and especially our kids, our teenagers. So, he doesn't give them any boundaries. You can't control that. You can yell, scream, try to talk, go to therapy. In the end, you can't control that. What can you control? You can control what you do with your kids when you have them home. And if you have a narcissistic ex, the only thing you should be focusing on when you get your kids home is deprogramming them from the narcissistic behavior. Because a narcissist, I love throwing statistics up here that I make up. Narcissist, I want to say 80%, 85% had narcissistic parents in some way. Maybe they were like strict, out of control, or they were just all about them. And that's the kid's model. And just Google narcissism traits on, the internet. And you can start looking for these traits in your children. And then we want to talk about entitlement. That's, one of the stages of a narcissist. Everybody owes them a living. And I talked last week on our podcast on this talk show last week about, entitlement and stuff like that. I don't even know where I'm going with this now. So anyway, getting back to this. So, you can't control any of that stuff. So you just got to let it go. It is what it is. Tak to jest. That's what it is in Polish. It is what it is. You can't control it, so let it be. Your kids come home, love them unconditionally, be with them, whatever he's doing over there. If they're complaining about him, he needs to know, the kid, he or she needs to know. The kids need to, be up front and let them know, because there is going to be a point when those children don't want to go visit him or her, because they don't have, whether it's a toxic environment, they're negative. I heard from one mom today, and she told me that the dad was a bully to the kids, putting them down. Oh, you don't have your license yet. You're a loser. This and that. And it's like, I can't imagine parents talk like that to their kids. It boggles my mind. But again, when you're dealing with a narcissist, they don't even understand what they're doing is wrong. They see it as normal, because maybe they grew up with that. Their father or their mother was a narcissist, And our kids model our behavior. So when you see a bully, when you encounter a bully, your kids encounter bullies in school, there's a good chance that the parents were bullies. In some way, bullying them, bullying other people. So when you get your kids home from the exes and they're just not really, they should have not been able to have kids to begin with, it's your chance to deprogram them, give them the love they need, encourage them, and just be there for them. And let them vent if they have, an issue with whoever they're visiting. And at some point, it's all going to be over. That's what I say. Is this going to be a problem in 5 years? That's one question you tell yourself. If your kids are 13, 14, in 5 years, all this shit's all done. All done. So you have a small window of opportunity. Don't waste precious time in your life dealing with shit you can't control. Okay? It's a waste of energy. Go take that energy and put it to something good. Put it into a hobby you have. Put it into spending time with your kids. Put it into, go getting a massage, a manicure, whatever, playing golf. I don't give a shit. Go take that energy and do something positive with that and not give that energy into, feeding a negativity monster. Okay? Cool. Anybody have any questions? No? What time is it? So let's, so I talked about that, and let me just share one more story about how other people can control you. So I spoke to this other mom. She's in jail, and she's getting out in a couple of weeks. And her sister has her kids. And she's thankful that her sister has her kids because the kids didn't go into DCF. But she's panicking. And she told me yesterday, I says, well, what are your thoughts about getting out? And she goes, well, Richie, I have a lot of anxiety. I'm really nervous. And I said, well, what is one thing you're nervous about? And whenever you ask somebody what's going on, what their problem is, when they're stressed out, what are you stressed out about? Everything. Every time I ask somebody that question, always the answer is everything. So it's like, let's take it down to like one specific thing. Well, let's start with one thing. So she goes, well, I'm getting out and I need to get my kids back. And my sister says she's not ready to give them back to me because this mom was in jail for drug challenges. And so I says, oh, okay. So I said, well, what's your plan? She goes, I got to go to court, blah, 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 blah. So she started telling me that. I says, oh, cool. So once you get that done, are you okay? She goes, and then she hesitated. It's like, oh, once she hesitates, when you ask somebody a question, you know that you're not going to get you got the wrong answer to begin with. So it's always an opportunity to dig a little deeper. So digging a little deeper, come to find out that she's got a boyfriend who is using, and she's getting out, and she's going back into the apartment with him. And she's really stressed out about that because she does not want to start using drugs again. And she goes, well, I love him, but he's really needy. And it was sad what she said. She goes, every boyfriend in my life has abused me, has treated me like shit. And this is the only one that I think really cares about me and loves me. And, my heart broke for her because I could see it in her eyes that every guy that she came across treated her like shit. And she's got this guy that, he's got drug problems, but he loves her. And she's really conflicted about this. And she's not sure what she should do. So I went back, and I says, so tell me again, what are you really stressed out about? She goes, I says, is it really your sister and getting your kids? She goes, no, because my kids are safe and my sister will give my kids back. So I said, what are you really stressed out about? She goes, I'm stressed out about going back with my boyfriend. And I feel like I'm going to use again. And it's like, oh my God. So it really, her stress wasn't about, her kids and getting them back from her sister. Her stress was about the relationship she has with her boyfriend. And she's conflicted because she loves him and he thinks, she thinks he loves her. However, she's afraid that the toxic nature he brings to a relationship could make her to relapse. And she doesn't know what to do with that. And she told me that she kind of feels trapped. And the reason she feels trapped, she thinks that all the boyfriends she had were all bad, and she found one that's decent, and she's afraid to let him go, that there may not be another one ever coming down the line. And that's another thing for all you parents out there that are in relationships with your teenagers and you're struggling, and it's like, we're going to stick together for the kids. Why the fuck do people say that? The kids know you guys got a shitty relationship, and they're learning shitty relationship skills from you. Everybody will sit together at the dinner table and smile at each other, and then they close the door and they're yelling and screaming. The kids know, the kids can sense that. They have this sense of smelling bullshit miles away, especially from their parents. So if you're in a relationship that's not good, that you feel as though you shouldn't be in, don't feel as though you're trapped. Don't feel as like, well, I know, I know the devil that I have and the devil I don't know, whatever it is. It's like, I know what I have, but I'm not sure what I'm going to get out there. Life is too friggin' short to settle for shit. Like I said early in the show, it's like, we don't know how long we have here. We don't know if tomorrow we're going to go to the doctor and they say, yeah, you got 2 weeks to live. What are you fucking doing with that? What are you doing with 2 weeks to live if you're in a miserable relationship and you're saying you're sticking together for the kids, and the kids don't give a shit because the kids would probably rather have you guys divorced and stay in 2 houses so they don't have to listen to the bickering and the yelling and screaming and all the carrying on. So lesson number 2 or 3 here is, if you're in a shitty relationship, how long are you willing to stick it out for the sake of the kids that probably don't give a shit? I mean, if you get a divorce, the kids are going to rebel. Go on my YouTube channel. I got a bunch of videos there on my website. The kids are going to rebel. They're going to hold you accountable. They're going to be pissed off. But they will get over it. Okay? They will get over it. And the family will be better off. And then you can go find somebody that your soulmate that you were meant to be with. Instead of this person that you don't love. And it's all right. And this girl that I was talking to, this mom in prison, it's like, she felt as though, I kind of sensed she felt as though she felt a little guilty that, she fell for him. That, maybe he was this wonderful person, but he has, this drug habit. And I see that so much in parents, that they don't want to give up because they've already invested so much time in the relationship, as well as they've invested, it would be bad on their ego. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I fell for that asshole's charm. And it's one of those things, it's like, we only see what we want to see. We don't see the bad stuff. Especially a partner, we're going through the courtship. We may, on the peripheral, out the sides of our eyes, we may see, oh, that was kind of a dick move that he did. But, oh no, he does all this other great stuff. He buys me flowers. He gives me candy, takes me on romantic dinners. Oh, wow, that was another dick move that he did. And slowly those dick moves start adding up and up and up until you get to the point where it goes, how the hell did I miss all this shit? And then you go through the whole, self-pity and, oh, I've wasted so many years. And now we might as well just hang out for the rest until the kids are 18. So then I can start my life over. No, start your fucking life over now. Start it today. If you're with an asshole, somebody that you don't love, somebody that's getting under your skin, if you're not attracted to them, Make a commitment to take a step forward and leave. And please don't stay together for the kids. Enough of my rants today. Let me get to some questions. Let me get to a couple of questions from some parents. I had more stuff to talk about, but we'll move on. Okay. This is from Mom. I got a 14-year-old boy, a 14-year-old son caught smoking weed. Grounded. She grounded him. He's got depression and his anxiety increased. Grades and attendance decreased. First psychiatrist appointment tomorrow. So that's one thing I see so prevalent in society and today's parents is that, the first thing we're doing is, the slightest misbehavior on a teenager's part, we're running to a therapist, psychiatrist, and I say it, and I don't give a shit what I say. You can call me out on it. And we want to press the easy button. Everything's so fast and instant. Let me get a button I can press, and they can fix that kid. Okay, they got to fix that kid because I can't take it. They weren't like this a couple of years ago. I don't know what's going on with them. Yeah, they were teenagers. Their mind's messed, okay? They're trying to figure out all this shit's going on in there. Their prefrontal cortex isn't developed enough. And, they're going through challenging times. So it's, running to a psychiatrist and a therapist. There are cases where you need that. But getting to the root of the problem is where it needs to go. And I just see so many parents. I just see, when I read something, I can really tune into and look at those words and say, they're looking for a scapegoat. Because what do we fear? What does all parents fear? All parents fear of being called a bad parent. Okay? And that's what happens. So if somebody could diagnose our children with ODD, CFD, ADD, there's a million of them out there. I think I went over this last week, was that, it takes the pressure off us saying that, okay, it wasn't me. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't have any guilt. So we got to get over ourselves. We got to try to, get to the root of the problem before pushing them into psychiatry. 14 years old. And the last thing, parents say, this thing, it's like offline. I don't even know if it's recording anymore. And it's, it's one of those things where I hate when I lose track. I'm having technology difficulties. At 14 years old, he's just starting his life. And I was going to say, so kids don't like going to therapists and psychiatrists because they envision that as not normal. Okay, they see it as, I don't want to do that. So a lot of the parents that I work with, we tried that, didn't work. It's like it didn't work because they don't want to do it. First of all, they think the therapist is going to knock on them, and whatever they tell the therapist, the therapist is going to tell you. And second of all, it's in their mind that there's a stigma attached with therapy. It's not as bad as it was like 20 years ago, but it's like normal kids don't go to therapists, normal kids don't go to psychiatrists, so they won't open up. And teenage behavior, when it's a problem because there's an emotion that's inside of them that they're suppressing, and they can't find the words to get it out. They're ashamed to tell the parents, so they hold it inside. And it comes out in messed up behavior like doing drugs, anxiety, depression, not wanting to go to school, laziness, addicted to video games, you name it. Cutting, talking to suicide. That's how those suppressed emotions come out. So as parents, our job is to find out what's going on in their mind. And to find out what's going on in their mind, we need to have a connection with them. We need to build rapport with them. We need to be on their side. We can't be their enemy all the time. And that's why parents trying to control children it's going to work against you every time. Punishment and discipline, I talk about it every week. Go Google it. It doesn't work. When a parent comes to me, before we get started, Richie, I've tried everything and nothing's worked. It's like, yeah, okay. So it's like almost, I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for it to come. Okay, yeah, you took everything away. Yeah, oh yeah, you took the cell phones. I saw a post today on the internet that the mom took the daughter's cell phone because she wouldn't clean her room, and she locked it up in a little like bird cage with a padlock. I said, oh, isn't that cute? She's going to hate you like forever for that. And you're going to regret ever putting that thing in that little bird cage. I think that there's revenge-fueled fantasies. I'm not going to go into punishment and discipline now, but it doesn't work. You got to be connected and build rapport with the kids. They need to talk. But they can't talk to a parent that they don't trust, a parent that they don't see as a human being, a parent that never makes mistakes, a parent that's perfect. They won't talk to you because they think their problems are just so minute that, you'll think they're an idiot. And all kids want to do right down to the core of their being, a lot of them just, put masks on, is that they want to make us happy. They want us to be proud of them. So for them to tell us that they have some kind of a challenge in school with a boyfriend or a girlfriend or somebody exposed them to drugs, they're not going to come to us and say that because they're going to be embarrassed. And they're going to feel small and little. And sometimes parents judge, but we're not going to get into that either. So let me finish this one up. He was supposed to come straight home from school the other day for a dentist appointment. He hasn't come home. Didn't come home. I texted him telling him to get home. The texting is just, it's so out of control, but I guess you have to communicate with them somehow. And he says, I want to hang out until we have to go. He turned off the location on his phone, so I have no idea where he is. So what if you did know where he is? What fucking difference is that going to make? You're going to go drive there, drag his ass out of the street away from his friends, throw him in the car and take him? You're going to have Department of Child and Family Services on your ass the next day. You can't do that. He'll hate you forever. And then, I see all these parents with this 360, and they this 360 where they're tracking the kids, and it's like, beautiful, okay? And I don't know why they use it, and it's like, oh, my children love it. They know where I am, and I know where they are. Fucking 30 years ago, we didn't know where anybody was, and the world was a better place, right? Nobody had cell phones. Nobody was crashing into people on the highways, texting, and although they were doing, I saw one person doing makeup. She was doing makeup. She was combing her hair, doing makeup, and smoking a cigarette. I don't know how the hell she was driving, but she was managing. So it's like, the 360 stuff. She has no idea where he is. This is the very first directly defiant behavior. We have always had a good, close relationship. He was never rude or disrespectful because they change. Teenagers are always changing. Their behavior is morphing from day to day. You see somebody one day, and then they're different the next. That's how they're changing. They're going through all these. Remember being a teenager? It's the same shit that we went through. We just don't remember it because we're old as ass and we've seen so much other shit since then. So it's like she kind of forgot. This mom forgot, what it was to be a teenager. He was never rude or disrespectful because when we have to look in the mirror. Because when we're saying that somebody's rude and disrespectful, we got to look at ourselves. Are we being rude or disrespectful to them? And I know parents hate that. They hate when I call them out on their bullshit, but somebody has to. You got to look at yourself in the mirror. Are you part of the solution? You part of the problem? And nobody wants to admit that. So they're going to go send them to therapists and psychiatrists so they can say that there's something wrong with that kid and it wasn't me and I am a good parent. Is that going to help your kid in the end? Own your shit. Own up. Be accountable. He was never rude and disrespectful. What 3 things, I tell parents this all the time, what 3 things, if you could read your kid's mind, what 3 things would they be saying about you? Think about that one. Okay? If you could read their mind, what do they think about you as their parent? And then maybe some of this stuff would go away. The past few days have been frustrating. Yes, because our teenagers are smart. When we try to control them by punishment, get home, we got to go to the dentist, blah, blah, blah. What are they going to do? They're going to control us. Nah, you want me to come home? Bullshit. You know what? I am going to stay out with my friends later. How's that? And what does that make you as a parent? Frustrated, overwhelmed. So what is that? Like I said in the beginning of the broadcast, it's like they are controlling us. Our emotions, they control us, affects our emotions. They're controlling us. You see how it works? I don't recognize my kid right now. Yep, alien shit. Just in the past few days, he's grumpy every time I talk to him. It's because you're probably asking him needy questions. You know, kids don't want to be asked, how was school when I get home from school? Just like I don't want to be asked, how was work when I get home from work? Unless I... No, I love what I do. So that's not a good reference for me. But most people out there doing work that they really hate and they're only doing it for a paycheck. So for somebody like that, I don't want to talk about work. How was your day? I don't care. It sucked. Okay, so kids don't want to hear that stuff. So they run away. Oh, she's going to say, how was your day? How was your friends? How was that class? I want to just come home and unwind. You know, they can't drink. So adults, we get to come home, we get to drink and unwind if you drink or do whatever. But kids don't have that opportunity. So they get stressed out. His AirPods are missing. I've been trying to get him to tell me what happened to his iPods. And all I get is, I don't have them. I'm pretty sure I know what happened. Good, because you're a mind reader too. Okay? So, he doesn't know what happens. They forget stuff. We forget stuff. The parents, do we remember what we did when we were their age? We forgot shit all the time. We forget shit now. So why can't our teenagers misplace their iPods or whatever the hell they are, their AirPods? Why can't they forget to lock the door? Why can't they forget to clean up their room? Why can't they forget to take out the trash? Why do we hold them in such a high regard when they're just learning about life and experiences and they're still trying to be a kid? They're still trying to be a kid. Do we want them to grow up and be an adult like us? Look at how happy we are. So that's when you get that pushback, that rebellion. And that's what she's getting back, because I'm sure she broke his balls about telling him what happened to them. Well, what happened to them? Where did you have them last? What's the difference? They're gone. It doesn't matter what happened to them. Unless you have a time machine and you can go back to that location and go pick them up. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when we're nitpicking on things that are irrelevant, especially things that happened in the past. Who gives a shit? They're gone. They're his responsibility. So the consequences are he lost them. He doesn't have AirPods. End of story. Unless you're buying them for him again, and then you're maybe an enabler. So that's another thing that you may need to look at. She's a nervous wreck right now. If he comes home in time for the appointment, do I just take him like nothing is wrong? No, you should maybe beat his head a little more in about, hanging out with his friends and stuff like that. Do I strip his electronics away, ground him again? No, because it doesn't work. Taking his electronics away is going to make him angry. I already talked about that. Ground him again, it doesn't work. Grounding him again, it's going to make him angrier. My fear with pushing back too hard is that he won't go to his psychiatrist appointment tomorrow. So right there, you have it. Her fear is that he won't go to her psychiatrist, but her fear is his control over her. And she needs him to go to that psychiatrist appointment. So she is going to drop every boundary she has in the world because her fear is greater than him learning any of the lessons. It's like I ask parents, what do you fear the most about your children? What do you fear? Because I'm going to tell you that fear is getting in the way of your parenting. And you need to face it. Write down your 3 top fears. And I bet you one of those, or all of them, are getting in the way of your relationship with your teenager. Because when we parent from a fear-based, space, the kids know we're fear. The kids know. He knows. This young man knows and is intelligent enough, because they're smarter than we were at that age. He knows that when he's got her over the barrel, because he knows that she wants him to go to that psychiatrist point, so he can do whatever he wants. That's maybe why he stayed out. It's like, she's gonna make me go to that thing. Stay out. And here comes the cherry on top of the cake. Okay? Yeah, he's going to do something stupid. How did I raise 2 kids completely opposite in the same environment? Big exclamation point. My oldest son is 18 and studying to be a pastor, and he's an intern at our church. Never gave me an ounce of trouble I don't understand. Okay. So let me break it down for you. We are all unique human beings. We all have our own identity. We are all different. That's why we all have different fingerprints. We're all on our own journey here in this world. And the way you parent one child, 9 out of 10 times, you won't be able to parent the other one the same way. Some parents hit the jackpot. Maybe you get triplets, twins, and you can do that. But for the most part, I rarely hear of a parent that doesn't have at least one child that's, different. And I'm going to be honest with you, because I don't bullshit around, because people need to hear the truth. And I'll tell you right now, I lost my paper because I threw it. So I'm going to tell you one thing right now. To this mom, if you are constantly walking around your house, putting your older son on this pedestal, pastor, he's in the church, he's the good boy, he's the good one. How do you think your youngest son feels? Constantly hearing that. Unloved, unworthy, depressed. What else? A bad seed? Everyone, let me throw a statistic, 98% of the parents that I work with in prisons and in the sober houses, they all say the same thing. I am the black sheep of the family. Or the bad seed. There's a couple of other funny ones that they said, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. And my brothers and sisters, they're doctors and lawyers and blah, 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 blah. So these kids, and I was trying to figure out if it was the oldest ones or the younger ones, but I did that survey yesterday in my mom's group, 12 women. I was trying to find out, they had all that trauma. I was trying to find out whether it was the younger ones or the older ones, and it didn't matter. So getting back to this, it was that if he lived in the shadow of his brother all his life and trying to live up to that, to his standards, And he's always been saying, oh, well, he needs a psychiatrist. Our other son didn't need a psychiatrist. Do you think his behavior is going to get any better? Or do you think he's saying, my mom thinks I'm a fuck up, so I might as well just keep fucking up? And that's what happens. So I can tell just by reading these couple of sentences, I can pretty much tell that that's what kind of this 14-year-old boy grew up with, his brother that's, a few years older, that he was probably around that his whole life, and now he's getting to a point where he's trying to find himself, and he's looking at his brother. It's like, how could I compare to that? He's like one step under God, for Christ's sakes. Christ's sakes, God. So that's what he's up against, and he's becoming what you told him he was. Not good enough. So how can you change that? You lost that opportunity right now. So what can you do now? Step back 21 days. Step back off his case. Start building rapport with him. Forget about all the smoking weed and all the shit that he's done in the past. Start a fresh day tomorrow. Stop being so needy. Give him the space. Give him the space to experience his life and go on his journey. And if he does stupid shit, he's going to have to answer the consequences for the stupid shit. When we try to protect him and rescue him so much, we suffocate them. We suffocate the life out of them. And then when they turn 18, they go do real stupid shit. And that's what I get a lot of, the parents in my prison groups when they were younger, they had strict parents, and said as soon as I turned 18, I went crazy. I wanted to get all that stuff that I was missing out on. And then they had, the other ones that were permissive parents that let the kids do whatever they want. And they just did whatever they want all the time, never had boundaries. So there's a happy medium in there. And that's what we need to find. And that's unfortunately what this mom didn't find. Let me take one more. What do we got here? I don't know what time it is. Yep, almost. Okay, last one. I feel like a failure. My 14-year-old is a freshman and she has been failing all her classes. She has no reason to accept she is lazy.